In the annals of history, few figures loom as large or cast a shadow as long as Genghis Khan. From the windswept steppes of Mongolia, he forged an empire of unprecedented scale, stretching from Eastern Asia to Eastern Europe. This was not merely a story of conquest, but of radical transformation. Genghis Khan didn't just conquer territories, he shattered old orders, rewrote the rules of warfare, and created a global network that would change the course of human civilization forever. This is the story of how one man united disparate tribes and built the largest contiguous land empire the world has ever known, a testament to strategic genius and sheer, unyielding will. Born around 1162, into the harsh, unforgiving environment of the Mongolian steppe, Temujin, the future Genghis Khan, faced a childhood steeped in hardship. His very name, meaning of iron or the blacksmith, hinted at the resilience that would define his life. The steppe was a crucible, where only the strongest survived. Life was a constant struggle against rival tribes, the brutal climate, and the ever-present threat of famine. This environment cultivated a people who were adaptable, ruthless, and fiercely independent, traits that Temujin would eventually harness and direct with unparalleled effectiveness. The Mongol homeland was a land of extremes, vast, open grasslands, scorching summers, and frigid winters. Survival depended on resourcefulness, horsemanship, and tribal solidarity, which was often fragile. Nomadic pastoralism, the raising of livestock, dictated a life of constant movement in search of pasture and water. This lifestyle honed skills vital for warfare, expert horsemanship, archery, endurance, and an intimate knowledge of the land. These innate abilities, combined with Temujin's strategic mind, would become the bedrock of the Mongol military machine, giving them an advantage over more settled civilizations. At just 9 years old, Temujin's father, Yesagay, was poisoned by a rival Tatar tribe. This tragedy plunged his family into destitution and rendered them outcasts. Abandoned by their clan, Temujin, his mother, and siblings were left to fend for themselves in the wilderness. This period of extreme vulnerability taught him invaluable lessons: the ruthlessness of the world, the fickleness of loyalty, and the absolute necessity of self-reliance and strong leadership. He learned early that trust was a rare commodity, and survival often demanded extraordinary measures, shaping his later policies on loyalty and discipline. As a young man, Temujin sought to reclaim his family's lost standing and secure his future. He formed a crucial early alliance with Jamukha, his blood brother, and Torul Khan of the Karaite tribe, a former ally of his father. These early bonds were vital for survival and for building a small following. However, the fluid politics of the steppe meant alliances were temporary. Jamukha, once his closest confidant, grew resentful of Temujin's growing influence and eventually became his fiercest rival. This cycle of alliance and betrayal underscored the precarious nature of power among the Mongol tribes. One of Temujin's most revolutionary leadership strategies was his unwavering commitment to meritocracy. In a society traditionally bound by lineage and clan loyalty, Temujin promoted individuals based purely on their skill, courage, and loyalty, rather than their aristocratic birth. This was a radical departure that instantly garnered fierce devotion from those overlooked by the old system. By offering opportunities to capable warriors regardless of their origin, he fostered a powerful sense of unity and shared purpose, weakening tribal divisions and building an army intensely loyal to him personally, not to their old banners. Temujin's military genius truly shone in his reorganization of the Mongol army. He abolished the traditional tribal structure, which often led to internal feuds and disunity, replacing it with a decimal system. Units were organized into squads of 10, companies of 100, battalions of 1,000, and tumens of 10,000. This rigid structure broke down old loyalties and fostered a new, cohesive identity under his command. Furthermore, conquered tribes were immediately integrated into this system, their warriors distributed among different units to prevent rebellion, creating a unified and disciplined fighting force. Temujin's first significant military campaign was against the Merkit tribe, who had abducted his young wife, Bort. This act of personal revenge became a pivotal moment in his rise. Rallying his allies, Temujin demonstrated early strategic prowess, leading a swift and decisive attack. The Merkits were routed, Bort was rescued, and Temujin's reputation as a formidable warrior and a leader who would protect his own began to solidify. This victory was not just personal, it showed the nascent power of his unified forces and the effectiveness of his emerging military tactics, drawing more warriors to his banner. Even in these early campaigns, Temujin understood the power of fear. He often offered tribes the chance to surrender peacefully. Those who resisted faced utter annihilation. This stark choice became a cornerstone of his psychological warfare. The swift, brutal destruction of resistant settlements served as a chilling warning to others, often prompting voluntary surrender and minimizing future resistance. The stories of Mongol ferocity spread far and wide, often preceding their armies and softening the resolve of their enemies before a single arrow was even fired. This was a calculated strategy, not just mindless savagery. As Temujin's power grew, his alliances became increasingly strained. Toghul Khan, his former patron and the leader of the powerful Kharit tribe, eventually viewed Temujin as a threat. The ensuing conflict was a critical test, pitting Temujin's disciplined, merit-based army against a larger, established tribal power. Through strategic maneuvers, surprise attacks, and superior battlefield leadership, Temujin delivered a decisive blow to the Kharit. This victory absorbed one of the most significant rival tribes, further consolidating his control over the central steppes and showcasing his ability to defeat even his most formidable adversaries. The final major obstacle to Temujin's unification of the Mongols was the powerful Nayman tribe in the west. The Nayman were a sophisticated, literate people who had adopted Yugur script and possessed advanced administrative skills. Their defeat was crucial, as it removed the last significant rival confederation and brought their administrative expertise into Temujin's nascent empire. The Nayman campaign demonstrated the full might of Temujin's reorganized army, marking the end of the long struggle for dominance among the disparate Mongol tribes. The stage was now set for the formal birth of a unified nation. In 1206, on the banks of the Onon River, Temujin convened a great assembly, a Kurultai, of all the Mongol tribes. Here, he was formally proclaimed Genghis Khan, meaning a universal ruler or oceanic Khan. This event was more than a mere coronation, it symbolized the birth of a new nation. He abolished old tribal names and declared a new national identity, the Mongols. This political innovation cemented his authority, turning a collection of feuding clans into a single, formidable entity under his undisputed rule, ready to project its power far beyond the steppes. Genghis Khan legitimized his rule not just through military might, but also through a powerful spiritual ideology, the mandate of the eternal blue sky. He claimed divine sanction for his conquests, asserting that his destiny was to rule the entire world. This belief provided a unifying purpose for his people, elevating their raids and conquests from mere plunder to a sacred mission. It instilled an unshakable confidence in his warriors, giving them a divine justification for their actions and inspiring unparalleled devotion to their Khan and his vision of a global empire. With the Mongols united, Genghis Khan turned his gaze outward. His first major target was the formidable Jin dynasty of northern China, a powerful, settled empire with vast cities and a massive army. The campaign, beginning in 1211, marked a significant shift from nomadic skirmishes to large-scale siege warfare against fortified cities. This was a monumental challenge, as the Mongols had little experience with such tactics. Yet, their adaptability, coupled with relentless determination and innovative strategies, allowed them to slowly chip away at the Jin defenses, signaling their ambition to conquer established civilizations. The Mongols were masters of adaptation. Faced with impenetrable city walls, they didn't retreat, they learned. They conscripted engineers and artisans from conquered populations, forcing them to build siege engines, trebuchets, catapults, and battering rams. They even employed crude early forms of gunpowder, stolen or adapted from Chinese technology. This willingness to learn, innovate, and integrate foreign expertise into their military machine transformed them from purely cavalry raiders into a versatile force capable of conquering any type of territory or fortification, a key to their success against settled empires. Against the Jin, Genghis Khan refined his psychological warfare. Cities that resisted faced unimaginable atrocities, their populations massacred, their wealth plundered, and their lands laid waste. This wasn't wanton destruction, but a calculated strategy to instill terror. The message was clear: resistance was futile and catastrophic. News of these horrors spread like wildfire, often leading subsequent cities to surrender without a fight, simply to avoid the same fate. This chilling tactic saved Mongol lives and resources, accelerating their conquests by breaking the enemy's will before battle. Conquering vast distances required an unprecedented level of logistical planning. Mongol armies were largely self-sufficient, relying on their horses for transport, food, and even blood in emergencies. Each warrior typically had multiple horses, allowing for rapid movement and fresh mounts. Supply lines were meticulously managed, utilizing captured resources and established routes. While seemingly simple, this nomadic-based logistics system allowed them to move faster and sustain campaigns longer than any contemporary army, giving them a crucial advantage over adversaries reliant on fixed supply depots and slower movements. Crucial to managing such a vast empire was the YAM, or postal relay system. This network of relay stations provided fresh horses and provisions for messengers, allowing vital intelligence, orders, and reports to travel across thousands of miles at astounding speeds. It was the Internet of the 13th century, connecting the furthest reaches of the empire to the Great Khan's court. The YAM system facilitated rapid communication, enabling Genghis Khan and his successors to maintain tight control over their expansive territories, coordinate military movements, and react swiftly to developments across Eurasia. Before any major campaign, Genghis Khan invested heavily in intelligence gathering. Spies and merchants were dispatched to enemy lands, collecting vital information on political stability, military strengths, geography, and resources. They meticulously mapped territories and understood local customs and rivalries. This comprehensive intelligence allowed the Mongols to plan their campaigns with surgical precision, exploiting weaknesses, avoiding strongholds, and predicting enemy movements. Their intelligence superiority often meant they knew more about their enemies' lands than the enemies themselves, a significant, often underestimated, factor in their victories. In the early 1200s, Genghis Khan sought peaceful trade relations with the mighty Khwarezmian Empire, centered in Persia and Central Asia. However, the Khwarezm Shah, Muhammad II, executed Mongol envoys and merchants, a grave insult and a colossal miscalculation. This act of blatant disrespect provided Genghis Khan with a casus belli for his westward expansion. What started as an attempt at diplomacy quickly escalated into a full-scale invasion, demonstrating that challenges to Mongol authority, even diplomatic ones, would be met with overwhelming and devastating force, opening a new chapter of conquest. The invasion of the Khwarezmian Empire in 1219 showcased the Mongols' unparalleled speed and strategic deception. Genghis Khan divided his armies, sending detachments on wide, encircling maneuvers through seemingly impassable deserts to surprise Khwarezmian forces from unexpected directions. They bypassed heavily fortified cities only to return later, after the main army had been engaged. This strategy of overwhelming speed, combined with unexpected flanking movements, left the Khwarezm Shah's vast but static armies bewildered and unable to mount a coordinated defense, leading to a swift and catastrophic collapse of their empire. The Khwarezmian campaign saw the Mongols unleash the full extent of their terror tactics. Cities like Bukhara, Samarkand, and Urgent suffered massacres on an unprecedented scale. Entire populations were systematically slaughtered, cities razed, and fertile lands turned into barren wastes. This brutality was a deliberate instrument of policy, not merely a byproduct of war. It served as a stark lesson: resist Genghis Khan, and your civilization would be erased. The psychological impact of these campaigns was so profound that cities miles away often surrendered at the mere sight of Mongol scouts. At the heart of Mongol military superiority was the composite bow. Made from horn, wood, and sinew, this recurved bow was incredibly powerful, capable of piercing armor from a distance and firing arrows with lethal accuracy up to 350 yards. Its compact size allowed archers to use it effectively from horseback, delivering devastating volleys while moving at full gallop. Combined with their extraordinary horsemanship, the composite bow made the Mongol cavalry an unmatched force, able to outmaneuver and outgun any contemporary army, raining death upon their enemies from a safe distance. Mongol tactics were characterized by sophisticated maneuvers like the feigned retreat. This involved a portion of the army pretending to flee in disorder, luring enemy cavalry into a reckless pursuit. Once drawn far from their main lines, the fleeing Mongols would suddenly turn, often revealing hidden reserves, and surround the pursuing force, annihilating them with volleys of arrows and close-quarters combat. This deceptive tactic, perfected through generations of nomadic warfare, capitalized on enemy overconfidence and impatience, turning their aggression into their undoing, a testament to Mongol discipline and strategic thinking. Despite their ruthless conquests, Genghis Khan and his successors adopted a policy of remarkable religious tolerance. Rather than imposing a single faith, the Mongols allowed conquered peoples to practice their own religions, whether Nestorian Christianity, Buddhism, Islam, or Taoism. This policy was pragmatic. It helped maintain stability in a diverse empire, preventing religious uprisings and ensuring the cooperation of skilled administrators and scholars from various backgrounds. It also facilitated the exchange of ideas and cultures across vast distances, a surprising counterpoint to their military brutality. To govern his vast and diverse empire, Genghis Khan instituted a comprehensive legal code known as the Yasa, or Great Law. This code governed everything from military discipline and taxation to family law and environmental protection. It emphasized loyalty, obedience, and communal responsibility, providing a framework for order across diverse cultures. Punishments were severe, often death, for offenses like theft, kidnapping, or desertion. The Yasa helped unify the disparate elements of the empire, establishing a common set of rules and fostering a sense of shared identity under Mongol rule, crucial for long-term stability. Far from being purely destructive, the Mongol Empire, under its unified rule, inadvertently ushered in an era of unprecedented economic prosperity and cultural exchange known as the Pax Mongolica. The vast network of trade routes, particularly the Silk Road, became safer and more efficient than ever before. Merchants, once wary of bandits and warring factions, traveled freely across the empire, protected by Mongol law. This revitalization of trade led to a boom in commerce, connecting east and west, and facilitating the flow of goods, technologies, and ideas across Eurasia, fostering a truly globalized economy. The Pax Mongolica fostered an astonishing degree of cultural exchange. Scientists, philosophers, artisans, and religious figures traveled freely across the empire, leading to an unparalleled cross-pollination of knowledge. Chinese inventions like gunpowder, printing, and the compass spread westward, while Middle Eastern astronomy and mathematics influenced the East. This fusion of ideas spurred innovation and progress across various fields, laying groundwork for later global developments. The Mongols, though not inventors themselves, became powerful conduits of cultural and technological diffusion, bridging gaps between civilizations. Genghis Khan understood the importance of succession for the longevity of his empire. Before his death, he divided his vast realm into feuilles, or khanates, to be ruled by his sons and their descendants. While this ensured a clear line of succession, it also sowed the seeds for future fragmentation. The Golden Horde would rule Russia, the Chagatai Khanate Central Asia, the Ilkhanate Persia and the Middle East, and the Great Khanate, Yuan dynasty, would rule China. This system aimed to preserve Mongol control, but ultimately led to distinct regional identities and eventual independence. Genghis Khan died in 1227 during a campaign against the Tanguts of Western Xia. The exact cause and location of his death remain a mystery, shrouded in legend and secrecy, in keeping with his desire for a hidden burial. His death, however, did not halt the Mongol expansion. His successors, guided by his vision and military principles, continued to expand the empire for several decades, demonstrating the strength of the system he had established. His passing marked the end of an era of personal rule, but the empire he forged continued its trajectory, reshaping continents. One of the most enduring legacies was the Golden Horde, established by Genghis Khan's grandson, Batu Khan, which dominated much of Eastern Europe and Russia for over 2 centuries. From its capital on the Volga River, the horde exerted significant influence, collecting tribute and shaping the political landscape of the region. Though often depicted as oppressive, their rule also brought a degree of stability and facilitated trade between East and West. The Golden Horde profoundly impacted the development of Russian identity and statehood, leaving an indelible mark on European history. In the southwest, another grandson, Hulagu Khan, founded the Ilkhanate, which controlled Persia, Iraq, and parts of Anatolia. The Ilkhanate was responsible for the infamous sack of Baghdad in 1258, effectively ending the Islamic Golden Age. However, the Ilkhans eventually converted to Islam and integrated deeply into Persian culture, becoming patrons of art, science, and literature. This transformation showcased the Mongols' ability to adapt to and even embrace the cultures of their conquered peoples, ultimately contributing to a rich Persianate-Mongol synthesis that left behind magnificent architectural and artistic achievements. Perhaps the most celebrated Mongol successor state was the Yuan dynasty, established by Kublai Khan, Genghis Khan's grandson, in China. Kublai Khan completed the conquest of the southern Song dynasty and established a vast, prosperous empire. He moved the capital to Beijing and fully embraced Chinese imperial traditions, while still maintaining distinct Mongol identity. The Yuan dynasty facilitated vast infrastructure projects, fostered trade with the West, famously documented by Marco Polo, and patronized the arts and sciences. It was a period of stability and remarkable cultural synthesis, profoundly influencing China's future. The Chagatai Khanate, located in Central Asia, was founded by Chagatai Khan, the second son of Genghis Khan. This Khanate served as a crucial bridge between the eastern and western parts of the Mongol Empire, often controlling key sections of the Silk Road. Its history was marked by internal strife and shifting allegiances, yet it maintained a distinct Mongol identity and played a significant role in the cultural and political development of Central Asia. The region remained a vibrant hub of trade and Islamic scholarship, even as the Khanate itself experienced periods of fragmentation and resurgence. The sheer scale of the Mongol Empire remains an unparalleled achievement in human history. At its zenith, it encompassed an astonishing 24 million square kilometers, covering almost a quarter of the Earth's landmass. It ruled over a population estimated to be 100 million people, a third of the world's population at the time. This vast empire was built in less than a century, an astonishing feat of rapid conquest and political organization. No other empire, before or since, has matched its contiguous land size or its speed of expansion, making it a truly unique phenomenon. The lasting impact of the Mongol Empire lies not just in its size, but in its role as a catalyst for global interconnectedness. By forcibly unifying vast swathes of Eurasia, they inadvertently created a single economic and cultural zone. Ideas, technologies, religions, and diseases, including the Black Death, traveled unprecedented distances, accelerating the pace of historical change. The world after the Mongols was fundamentally different, more integrated, more aware of its diverse parts, setting the stage for the age of exploration and the rise of a truly globalized world system. While the Pax Mongolica brought benefits, it's crucial to acknowledge the immense human cost. The Mongol conquests caused widespread devastation, famine, and the deaths of millions. Cities were razed, irrigation systems destroyed, and entire cultures wiped out. The terror tactics, though effective, left deep scars on the collective memory of conquered peoples. This darker side of the Mongol legacy cannot be overlooked. It serves as a stark reminder of the brutality inherent in empire building and the devastating consequences of unchecked power, even when it inadvertently leads to progress. Beyond the brutality and conquest, Genghis Khan's legacy as a leader is complex. He was a visionary who understood the importance of unity, meritocracy, and law. He transformed a fragmented nomadic society into a disciplined, adaptable military and political force. His strategies of rapid movement, intelligence gathering, and psychological warfare were revolutionary. He possessed an unshakable will, an ability to inspire loyalty, and a pragmatic approach to governance that allowed his empire to endure long after his death. His impact on leadership, military doctrine, and nation-building continues to be studied. Historian Jack Weatherford articulates this dual nature of the Mongol Empire perfectly. It was a force that brought both immense destruction and unprecedented creation. The Mongol Empire's impact on global history is undeniable. It shattered isolation, connected continents, and initiated a new era of global exchange. The world we inhabit today, with its interconnected economies and shared knowledge, owes a significant, albeit often dark, debt to the empire that Genghis Khan built. His ambition, ruthlessness, and strategic genius irrevocably altered the course of human civilization, shaping the modern world in profound ways.